everyone! Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a lovely lacy floral headband. For this project, all you'll need is some yarn, a suitable hook, and a pair of scissors. Now the yarn I will be using for this tutorial is lightweight 3 yarn. This is Patton's Grace yarn and it's 100% cotton. And I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. Now, it's up to you as to which type of yarn and hook you'd like to use. For instance, the one I have here is actually made of medium weight yarn, also cotton, and I used a 6mm hook, so slightly larger. Now, I'm going to make a daintier one today to show you with a little thinner yarn and a slightly smaller hook. Now, let's go ahead and get started. First, you're going to start off with a chain and make it as long as you want your headband's length to be. So I would like my headband to be about 12 inches long so that it can fit my baby girl's head. Just make sure that you have an even number of chains. So be sure to keep track of the count of your stitches. I've just made a long chain here of 64 stitches. Remember to stick with an even number. And my chain is about 12 inches long, which is the length that I would like. So feel free to do as long or as short of a headband you want. This is totally customizable. And once you've got your chain ready, you're going to go ahead and chain 2 more. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 chains. Now you're going to do a half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. So here I'm going to loop yarn over, insert my hook into the 3rd chain from my hook. Here, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to make my half double crochet. And now we're going to work all the way across. We're going to skip a stitch, and in the next stitch you're going to insert a single crochet and a double crochet. Then you're going to skip the next chain. So here I'm going to skip this chain, go into the next one with a single crochet and a double crochet. When you do that, it's going to provide this nice lacy texture. And I'm going to work this all the way across. So skip a stitch, single crochet, double crochet in the next stitch. Skip a stitch, insert a single crochet and a double crochet in the next stitch. And you're going to keep going until you reach the very end. When you reach the end, the last stitch is going to be just 1 half double crochet. As you work, you may notice that your piece is going to curl slightly. Never fear, because as we go along and make the next part of the headband, we are going to have this straightened out. You can also pull on it to straighten your stitches if you'd like to do so. So let's continue working this pattern across. After you've crocheted across the length of your headband, remember that in your very last stitch, you're going to work a half double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and go into that last stitch here and do a half double crochet. And now you finished the top part of your floral headband. we're going to work across the bottom edge now. So what we're going to do is simply chain 1, and then you're going to go into the chain on the other side of the piece. So we're basically turning it around like so, and you're going to work your work your hook into the first chain here. So I'm going to do a single crochet and then insert a single crochet into each of the chain stitches across. Oops. As you work along, you'll see that your floral headband will have a nice edging on the bottom now, and you're going to simply crochet all the way across, single crocheting in each of the chains. We'll meet back when we finish going to the other end. I've now single crocheted across the entire bottom edge of my headband, and to wrap up here, you're simply going to slip stitch to the very side of the headband, and as you do a slip stitch, you're going to pull through the yarn. This will be one end of the headband, so go ahead and make as long of a strap as you want for tying it. You want to make sure, remember, you can always make it longer and trim it shorter. So if you want to be a little cautious, go a little bit longer. And then that's one end of the headband. The other end, we're going to have to weave in this starting end, but we're going to attach another strap to this side. So I'm going to simply go into the side of the headband here, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. And I'd like my strap to be the same length as my previous one. So I'm going to make sure it's long enough. And I also want to make sure I have enough yarn to tie it securely. So it's okay if I have a slightly longer strand here, because as you see, I will be knotting it on this side. I suggest you doing a at least a double knot. Keep it secure, and you can also weave in the ends here. And what I'm going to do is actually tie my fastening off end and the starting yarn end together so that it doesn't come loose. After you tie it securely, you're going to weave in the ends, so you can go ahead and grab a smaller hook and pull the yarn end through the headband here. I'm just going to double check the length of my straps here. I like them to be roughly the same, so I'm going to trim this one a bit. And there you have it. So that's that for the floral headband. As you can see, this provides a really lovely lacy kind of look to it. And you will just loop it over the head and go ahead and tie a little bow with the two longer strands back here. I still need to weave in these ends, so just ignore those right now. And if you'd like to make it into a floral one, as I will be doing for my daughter, I will be adding instructions on how to crochet these pretty little 3-dimensional roses to add onto your headband. And these are also super fun and easy to make. You can go ahead and check it out in the description box. I also have little leaf patterns to add it onto this entire project and make it look very pretty and romantic. So be sure to check it out. I'll link those in the description box below, and I hope you had a fun time crocheting this headband. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye now. Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to crochet these lovely little roses. These are 3-layer roses that I'll be demonstrating, and you can really use any type of yarn you'd like. I'm using a lightweight 3 yarn here. It's 100% cotton, and it's Patton's Grace yarn. Now, with different hook sizes, you can create different size flowers as well if you're using the same yarn. For example, these 3 here are all made using this lightweight 3 yarn, though I use different hook sizes. So for instance, this tinier one, I use a 2.75mm hook, and this large one, I used a 5mm hook. So it's up to you as to if you want a large or a small flower, but you can feel free to play around with the different yarn weights and the hook sizes. Now for this tutorial, I will be using a 3.75mm hook and this lightweight 3 yarn. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and that's all to begin the project. So let's start. To begin, you are going to start with a magic ring. In the magic ring, you are going to single crochet 5. So here I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets. That will give me 5 petals as I work on this flower. Now you're going to pull your yarn end tight, pull the ring tight, and you'll see that the ring cinches up like so. Next, you're going to close off this circle by inserting a slip stitch in the very first single crochet, like so. Next, we're going to start on the first round of petals. You're going to chain 1, insert a double crochet into the first stitch, insert 2 more double crochets for a total of 3. Then chain 1, and you're going to slip stitch in the same stitch, like so. That gives you 1 petal. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next petal, or next single crochet, excuse me. Chain 1, insert 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same stitch. Next, we're going to do the same in the following petal. So slip stitch in the next petal. Chain 1, 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same stitch. And we have 1 more single crochet remaining on our magic ring here. So you're going to insert a slip stitch into the last single crochet, chain 1, double crochet 3 times, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and slip stitch all in that same stitch. I'm sorry, did I say that was the last petal? We have one more because we have 5 petals going on here. My apologies. Okay, again, you're going to repeat that petal stitch by doing a slip stitch, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and another slip stitch. Okay. Sorry if I caused any confusion there with that last petal. We want to make sure we have 5 petals for each of the single crochets we did for the initial magic rings. Now you'll notice you have this lovely little flower here with the 5 petals. We're going to now continue working into the next layer. So we're going to start with these small petals, and then we're going to work on larger petals behind them. To get behind them, these petals, we're going to first chain 3, then turn your flower backwards like so. This is the back side of the flower. In the first petal, you're going to notice there are stitches on the back, the loops on the back. We're going into the farthest loops. So find the set of stitches that are farthest in the first petal. That would be right here. And I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch through. That creates the first foundation chain for my next layer of petals. We're going to do it again. So chain 3, turn your flower back. Here's the back side. In the second petal, find the farthest loops again. We're going to go into them. Then you're going to do a slip stitch. And we're going to do this around. So chain 3, flip the flower back, find those farthest loops, and slip stitch. Do it until you are, until you've gotten into each of the loops, each of the petals. So you're going to end up with 5 foundation chains. After the very last one, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like on the back now. Here's the back of the flower, and we have these chain foundations set up for our next layer of petals. There are 5 total. Now I'm going to go ahead for the second set of layer of petals. I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain 3 gap that I made. So that's the very first one there. Insert my hook, do a slip stitch, chain 1, and then insert 4 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets. And then chain 1 and slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next chain gap now. We finished the first petal, go into the next one, slip stitch, chain 1, insert 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, and slip stitch. Then go into the next petal again, slip stitch, chain 1, insert 4 double crochets. We're doing this all the way around for each of the petals in the second round. In the second layer, I mean. Now that you've gone all the way around, you'll notice your flower has a full front and back layered petals. We're going to do a third layer now. To do that, you are going to simply chain 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to flip your flower backwards. Like earlier, we're going to go into that farthest loop in that first petal, slip stitch, and that's that for the first foundation. Next one, we're going to chain 4 again. Turn your flower back, find that farthest loop in the next petal. Go ahead and slip stitch. Chain 4, and you're repeating around like earlier. Once you have finished making the foundation for this third layer of petals on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and start on the petals. So for each of these layer 3 petals, you're going to insert your hook into the chain 4 gap, slip stitch, chain 1, and insert 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets, chain 1, slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next gap, like so, slip stitch, chain 1, and then insert 4 double crochets. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I say 4? I meant 5. 5 double crochets for this round. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next chain gap, slip stitch, chain 1, 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Then you're going to chain 1 and slip stitch into the same gap. Repeating around to the last one. When you finish all your petals, fasten off, and you're going to weave your yarn end in. As you can see, I have my 5 petals on the last layer from the first, second, and last layers. And you can easily just weave your yarn ends in using a smaller hook, which I like to do. If I can avoid using a yarn needle, I try to do that. Terrible at yarning or threading yarn needles even. You can imagine how tough it is for me to yarn normal needles. All right. So with those ends pulled in, let me just pull this closer. And you can go ahead and use these yarn ends to sew the flower down onto your project. And there you have it. Here is the layered rose. As you can see, it's quick and easy to do. You can get it all done in one piece, no attaching or sewing at all. And it makes a lovely little embellishment for any crochet project, like hats, blankets, your amigurumi dolls, headbands, etc. And they can even make cute little appliques if you want to put them on greeting cards or gift boxes. Now, hi everyone, today I'll be showing you how to crochet this pretty little leaf. It's a wonderful little applique that you can make to add on to your crochet projects. I happen to be using it for a lovely little floral headband I'm making for my daughter. And if you'd like to make it too, feel free to check out my description for the links to the pattern. Now, what you will need is some yarn and any size hook that would be suitable for the yarn. For reference, I'm using a lightweight 3 yarn. It's Patton's Grace and it's 100% cotton. And with this yarn, I'm using a 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and that's that. Let's get started. To begin here, we're simply going to start with 8 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then in the second chain from the hook, so here's the first one, there's the second one. I'm going to put my hook in there and make a slip stitch. So pull through and pull through. And then in the next chain, I'm going to single crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. In the next chain, a double crochet. In the next one, a triple crochet. In the next, another triple crochet. And in the last, I'm going to do a double crochet, a double crochet in the same stitch, and a half double crochet in the same stitch. So that all goes into the same chain. Now what we're going to do is work on the other side of the chain. So we've done half of the leaf so far. Now we're going to turn our piece and work in the next side. We're basically going to reverse the directions. You're going to insert your hook into the very first chain, and you're going to do a half double crochet, then a double crochet, and then a double crochet. Triple crochet in the next 2 chains. Double crochet in the next chain. Half double crochet in the next chain. Single crochet. And a slip stitch in the very last chain in this row. When you are done with that, you are simply going to fasten off. Weave in the ends. You can use a yarn needle to weave in, or I choose to use a smaller hook just for convenience. And basically you could just go ahead and I like to just weave it through the stem area here. And as you can see, you have your nice little leaf done. You can go ahead and make this with different colors of yarn, different weights of yarn, and use different sized hooks to make this either larger or smaller. All right, and here's a quick look at the flower headband that I am making for my daughter. I'm choosing to add some of these lovely little white leaf details to the headband, and you can go ahead and do that as well, or check out my blog post for different examples of how you can use this in different projects. All right, thank you so much for watching and hope you have a wonderful time crafting. Bye now. After you have your lacy headband done and also the little embellishments like the flowers and leaves, we're going to go ahead and put it all together. It's quite easy. All you really have to do is to position it in any way you'd like on your headband. Here I have my different flowers. I just use different hook sizes for them. So for example, this tiny one was made with a 2.75 millimeter hook, while the large one was made with a 6 millimeter hook. So I ended up with different flower sizes. And I also added leaves in the back. So after you are happy with the positioning of your different parts, you can go ahead and secure them down, and you can secure them using a yarn needle, or if you're lazy like me, you can use a hook to just pull the yarn ends through, tie them and weave them in, and do the same for the leaves and the flowers. I'd recommend getting the leaves down first because they are going to be under the flowers. And that's really that. So I hope you'll have a fun time making this. I'll show you what my finished project looks like when I finish weaving in the ends. Alright, I just went ahead and I weaved in all my ends, tying them in the back and securing them tightly. And now I have my Lacy Flower headband completed. I hope you enjoyed working on this project. If you would like to subscribe, that would be great. I do have more DIY tutorials coming up, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching and hope you have a fun time crafting. Bye now.